Hi there. I decided to do a vlog today because writing has been rather challenging. As many of you know, I have a fractured right wrist. It's healing well, and thank you everyone for your positive messages and your well wishes. I really appreciate it. My biggest challenge right now is just typing with my left hand, even though I'm able to do that, and I think quite well. Thank you, left hand. My right hand seems to go along with it. I'm not allowed to type with my right hand, but it seems I clench it as I'm typing with my left hand. So right now I'm taking it easy in that regard, but I did want to share some information I learned at a recent all-day conference on women's health. As you know, I'm a registered nurse, and certainly as nurses we have the obligation to stay current with our profession and our focus within the profession, which for me is women's health. So I chose to go to an all-day seminar on women's health that was sponsored by the North Carolina official healthcare education providers. This session on women's health was for healthcare professionals, not only nurses, but physicians, pharmacists, and other auxiliary healthcare professionals who want to have this kind of an update. The way I'm going to approach it in this vlog is to let you know what the topics that were covered were, because I think that alone speaks to the topics of importance in women's health today, as well as review some of the summaries from the various topics that were covered, as I think that would be the most succinct way to do this. While I do it, I'm going to be reading, and I practiced a little bit. I'm not a professional newscaster. I'm just a nurse trying to share information. So hope this works, and hope I can give you something more than what you had before I started talking. So let me begin first with the topics that were covered in the session. The topics that were covered were infertility in women, incontinence, ovarian cancer, women's reproductive mood disorders, heart disease, the libido tangle, osteoporosis, what every primary health care provider should know about lung cancer, and then cultural differences in treating patients from various societies which we have interaction with as we do our jobs. So the first one I'm going to begin with is women's reproductive mood disorders across the reproductive life cycle. There's not too much I'm going to say about that, except that much of what happens to us is hormone driven, as well as for some other individuals who have diagnoses that is more psychological, where the hormone changes and fluctuations can impact those kinds of things to the negative, thus causing some mood disorders that really need to be treated because of the intensity and the impact on the individual and their life. So not much more to say about that, even though there was a lot of information that was provided. Some of the causes of, for example, perinatal mood symptoms, which can also be the cause of other mood symptoms, are as following: rapid hormonal changes, physical and emotional, for this one, stress at birth, but there are stresses at different parts of the life cycle that can be impacted, physical discomfort, emotional letdown after pregnancy, awareness and anxiety about increased responsibility, fatigue and sleep deprivation. And I've written about sleep and sleep deprivation before, and how what a horrendous impact it plays on a person's psyche throughout the day, as well as disappointment, including some aspect of the birth experience. But that disappointment can also involve women who have had hysterectomies, the loss of that aspect of their being. So that's it in a very brief, superficial nutshell. The next topic I'm going to cover is incontinence. With incontinence, the treatment guidelines were very good, except the one critique I have of that is no matter how much you do, for some women, because of the physiological aspects of either stress, incontinence or urge incontinence, they're still going to have incontinence, and they need to help manage that so that they can get out of the house. I think one of the most awful parts of this is that women who have incontinence don't want to leave the house. It destroys their ability to enjoy life. Some of the treatments that were suggested was to limit bladder irritants, which can be coffee, tea, artificial sweeteners and sugars, acidic fruit juices, spicy foods, tomatoes, carbonated beverages. And of course they talked about biofeedback and the precaution about using biofeedback to help train the bladder, as well as how to actually train your bladder. So how do you train a bladder? And bladders are trainable, by the way. Schedule voiding, that means try to go to the bathroom every 2 to 4 hours. Self-monitor, use a diary to see how often are you really going. The length of void, I was fascinated by this. If when you sit on the toilet, if you spell out the word Mississippi, and if you're urinating quicker than you can spell out the word, then your bladder isn't full enough, even though you may feel like it is. And that itself would warrant seeing your physician. Sit correctly on the toilet, and do not plan to void at night. Go to the bathroom before you go to bed, and hopefully you can make it through the night. But certainly, if you're having these kinds of issues, you really should see your healthcare professional. And one of the auxiliary healthcare professions that could be of help is a physical therapist who is focused on incontinence. And of course, I wouldn't be, the Always in Tampax nurse, one of their women's health experts, if I didn't say that some of those products, some of the Always products, can be extremely beneficial to catch those leaks when either you're having a hearty laugh or if you're someone with urge incontinence and can't control it. So take a look at the Always products. And one of the nice aspects of using any kind of product like that is that you don't have to go to a particular aisle to get a product where you may be embarrassed to go into the store to get an incontinence product. So with that in mind, let me go on to the next topic I wanted to cover, and actually the last topic, and that is the libido tangle in It Takes Two. And I find that topic particularly interesting just because so many people talk about it. So many women my age talk about it, and so many women younger than I am, women who have very busy lives, who are concerned about that aspect of their relationship with their partner. So let me read you the conclusion summary from this particular part of the seminar. When problems with desire are discovered, once physiological, psychiatric, or medication causes are ruled out and treated first, then they try to distinguish between drive versus expectations versus motivation. And you have to really assess the person's goals. Do they really want to resolve this issue, or are they just accepting the fact that this is something that is no longer a part of their life? And the whole point from a healthcare professional standpoint is you want to help that person set realistic expectations about what they really want in a sexual relationship with a partner or not. And then a treatment involves a team. And that's know when to get outside counseling, physical therapy, get both partners involved. And I just think that it's crucial to have both partners involved, especially if the person wants to have a relationship with someone and has been unable to really do that, and it's destroying a relationship, which it can do very easily. And also to discuss pharmacological therapies with your physician if it's right thing. If it's right thing for the woman, if it's the right thing for her partner, or is the male the one having the difficulty that's impacting her? And there are a lot of aspects to this. And like I said, this is a very superficial coverage. If you have questions, I'm always happy to talk further about this. And I thought I would end with a little bit of humor. There was a little story that was told that I thought was absolutely great. And the story is 3 female friends meet in the park. One is engaged, one is a mistress, and the other has been married for 20 years. And they were lamenting about their relationships. So they decided that they are going to surprise their partners and greet them at the door wearing a black bra, stiletto heels, and a mask over their eyes. They agreed to meet back and forth after a few days and share how things worked out. Well, the engaged woman said she met her husband, her fiance, at the door, all dolled up in her black leather outfit and her high heels and a mask. He looked at her and said, "Oh my God, you are the love of my life," and they made passionate love all night. The mistress said, same thing happened to her. She met her partner at his office after work hours, all dressed up, opened her raincoat, and he was like all crazed, and they made mad passionate love all night. Now the married woman then had to share her stories. She met him at the door, all dressed up, black leather, stiletto heels, the whole get-up, makeup on, hair done. And so she opens the door in her leathers. He looks at her and says, "Hey Zora, what's for dinner?" That says it all. So that's how I'm going to end. Please forgive the flaws, and I hope this was helpful. Like I said, please feel free to ask any questions that may come to mind just based on this brief content. Take care. Have a good day.